Jen here, and I have a really fun layout to share with you guys. I just showed you my inspiration. That is a layout from Cassie Wiscarson. I hope I said her name right. It was actually posted in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in as kind of a share the love post that Christy often will do, where it's just an opportunity for us to share something that's caught our eye, and it helps to give inspiration. And so this is the one that she had posted, and I just thought it was such a great way to use up a lot of color and patterns and scraps. If you have lots of scraps left over, this is a great way to get them used up. And I knew that I had these papers still left over from the Daisie Meadows collection that I got from Jenn Smith from their Close to My Heart collection. And so I thought this would be a really kind of fun, whimsical, cute way to use up a lot of these scraps and really showcase how gorgeous this collection is. So as you can see here, I'm starting by just cutting my pieces to create my little banners, and I'm only going to do a few at a time, and I'm not really measuring the width and length of all of them. All of these papers are going to be a little bit random, mostly because I had a few that weren't going to be wide enough. I wasn't going to be able to find a piece wide enough and long enough to kind of match the others. So I decided I would just go with random, and everything will be, a different size, or roughly a different size. I mostly just wanted the different patterns and like a good variety of the different patterns showing up, rather than necessarily having everything perfectly measured and lined up properly or anything like that. So I kind of like the way that nothing is lined up, and all the little banners, I guess you could say, their tails are kind of staggered and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I was doing that. So here you can see I'm just cutting my papers and kind of looking to see some of the patterns. It doesn't matter which way the papers are, and other ones like the bunnies, for example, I just wanted to make sure that if I was using any of the bunny paper or here the flower paper, that I was picking sections of the paper where maybe most of the bunny was showing or most of the flower was showing. And then obviously there's other patterns like this kind of gingham pattern that it totally doesn't matter. So I just went ahead and cut those sections. And I have a good variety of colors left over, so that's really good too. That yellow really gives like a fun, bright pop that makes all these other colors really kind of shine. And then also that darker teal, it's kind of like they're those grounding colors that really help to make everything else stand out. Now, in Cassie's original, she kind of does an ombre effect, and I think that would be a lot of fun as well. She sort of goes from the bottom left-hand corner is a lot darker and gradually lightens up the papers to more of a white. So it kind of goes from a darker blue to a little bit more white as she goes across diagonally to that top right-hand corner. But I'm not going to worry about anything like that. As you see me start to put these together, I'm really just kind of trying to balance all of the patterns. But I think that's what makes a design like this really fun. And it doesn't have to be these sort of flags or pennants. You could punch out a bunch of circles or just punch out a bunch of squares, any shape really, triangles, whatever you wanted to do. Mix up the way that you cut the pennants. I almost did that and then kind of got into a bit of a rhythm and just ended up cutting them all with that kind of dovetail. But you could mix them all up. You could do whatever works best for you and for the type of paper that you're using. If you're using scraps, you might have to, go in a certain direction. But anything like that would work. And so you could do a rainbow, you could do, contrasting colors or the ombre, or here, as you can see, I'm literally just kind of making everything go haphazard. And the other thing that you'll notice, which might drive some people crazy, but it really doesn't drive me all that crazy, is because some of my papers weren't an even width. You'll notice that I have some gaps in between some of my pennants, just because I don't have a perfect measurement for all of my pieces to kind of fit that 12 by 12 or 12 inch width. So that doesn't personally drive me crazy, but if it's something that would drive you crazy, you just want to make sure that you're cutting them, in 2 inches or 3 inches, something that will fit the 12 by 12 space. I don't mind, because there's enough white in some of these papers that I could kind of, hide some of the gaps where the white papers were and you don't really see. And then in other spots, I'm just going to fill them with a little bit of embellishment. And so they don't really stand out as much as you might be worried that they do. But just keep that in mind when you're cutting your papers or cutting your shapes. If you don't want to have those gaps, just remember that you have 12 inches to go across. So now all of my little, what are we going to call these? My little flags or my little banners, they're all put down. It really didn't take that long at all. Once you get going, I just kind of made sure that I wasn't following any particular rhythm. So I was just pulling whatever pattern, and the first few rows are totally random, and then after that it's basically just making sure you're not matching up the patterns too close to each other. And once you get to the bottom, it's really just about kind of tucking them in, and I'm going to end up cutting that bottom off. So it didn't really matter what papers were left or how long they were or anything like that. So the next part of this is kind of the part that was a challenge for me, and part of the reason that I wanted to do this particular scrap lift is I always have this challenge of having a busy photo and then also having a busy background. In my head, I just feel like the whole point of the layout is to try to make the photo stand out. And so you want everything around a busy photo to be more quiet. But really, this is not a quiet background at all. So the challenge that I had to give myself, which some people just naturally do so well. But for me, the challenge was really, how could I make sure that I was keeping all of the focus on that photo? So I didn't want to do a big mat or a bunch of extra layers around my photo, but I did take one of the little manufacturer strips that is rainbow colored and just went ahead and kind of gave the picture a little bottom and top layer that just kind of focuses, I think anyways, focuses the eye in on the picture a little bit, because that rainbow pattern isn't like any other pattern that I used in my banners and my layers. And then I just kept all of the embellishment right around the picture. So from the sticker sheet from this same collection, I grabbed the big floral and cut that in half and put half of it above the photo, half of it below the photo. I grabbed a few little phrases. I grabbed a couple of the extra flowers, that really cute little bunny. And now here are just some of the enamel dots. Those are all part of the collection. And it's an Easter picture, as you can see. So I knew I could put, that cute little bunny, and I could also put the flowers. Everything kind of worked really well. And I'm not going to do a ton. I don't want to fit just a bunch of stuff in there for the sake of embellishing. I just wanted a few nice embellishments that really stood out from the patterns in the background. And then I also decided to use the title that was on the sticker sheet, or to me, it seemed like it was meant to be a title. So I'm using the word Easter and then wishes, and I'm just going to put them right here beside the picture. And you'll see that right now they really kind of blend in. I knew that they would. Again, it's a cursive to me is a more sort of busy style of writing, and the pink of the word wishes just kind of blends into the background a little bit too much. So I kind of knew that they would. And so my solution to help them stand out a little bit, as well as everything else that I've added, is to add a black border. So add some of my kind of doodly, sketchy lines. I'm not making them super perfect. I'm doing kind of a quick job just to really highlight all of those colors, and it just gives them that little extra helping hand at popping up from the background. And especially you'll notice with the word wishes, it really makes a big difference, and suddenly that word is just going to kind of pop out and you're able to see it. And then I'm also doing it to a couple of the banners. So the yellow ones and that gingham one, again, just to kind of have that sketchy black line sort of repeated throughout the layout. And so there you can see now how that word wishes really stands out a lot more. And actually in real life, when you're holding the layout, it stands out even more than it does here on video. So that's definitely a good trick for you to use. And in the close-ups, you'll see how the flowers and everything else really do stand out a lot better, having that sketchy line around it. And the trick to that really is just to kind of stay a little bit loose and not try to be too perfect. If you keep it kind of with a loose, sketchy feel to it, then it hides any of the little bumps and hiccups that you might have along the way. And then I just finished everything off with some little pink sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And that's it. That's my layout. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love how this turned out. And this is such a cute collection. If you want more information about it, please check out Jenn Smith's links down below. She posts the most amazing Instagram pictures and inspiration. So go and say hello to her and let her know that Jenn says hi. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.